Every year we see the younger generation coming through, eager, tech-savvy, and with a willingness to learn, and learn they do, and they learn from the best. Enter Tom Panos and the Real Estate Gym. Tom's had more introductions like at this event than I've had long lunches. The #1 real estate coach in Australasia, definitely the most recognised, 100% the most polarising, and without doubt the most sought after keynote speaker and MC in the real estate industry. By the way, Tom, you're looking really sharp today. Well done to you, mate. Okay, without further ado, please say hello to Alec Stefanoski, Woodards Manningham, Mark Britt, Miles Real Estate, and Imogen Stokes, White Fox Real Estate. Come up, guys. And their host, Mr. Tom Panos. That's it, Tom. Thank you. You want it?
Okay, so gang, I've just seen the slide go up there, and that's sort of showing the productivity of these three people. So it's great to see you, and nothing makes me happier than talking to people that the audience can really relate to. And I know that sometimes when you know, the AREX and any other big session you go, like it's really aspirational to see the 5, 6, 7, 8 million. And the reality is that every person that was a 5, 6, 7, 8 million, 2 million, 3 million, all those telephone numbers, they were once these people, all right? They were once these people. No one ever comes out of a stomach as an attraction agent, out of their mum, right? Doesn't happen, right? There's a path. And Alec, Woodards, where's your office?
Doncaster and Heidelberg.
Okay. Imogen, where do you work?
I work out of the Albert Park office, so we're between Port Phillip and Stonington area.
White Fox.
White Fox.
Okay. Mark?
Miles Real Estate in Ivanhoe, Rosanna and Heidelberg.
Competitors.
Okay. How long in real estate, Mark?
7 years, took a break for 2, back in for 3. So 10 in total.
Why'd you have a break?
First real estate experience, probably as a result of the office I was at, just the stage of life I was at, I decided that real estate wasn't for me. And met my current director back then, and he prospected me for a few years, would you get back into real estate? I said it wasn't for me, but eventually had a chat, felt it was the right environment, and yeah, love it now.
I want to ask, without naming the first office, what's the difference in the environment of the two offices? So what you're saying is there was one office, you started there, the environment wasn't good, and you ended up quitting real estate because that experience made you feel like, I'm not for real estate.
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Correct. So yeah, first office, without naming names, it was when you think of typical real estate agent bad behaviour, that was that office. So there was just a lot of,
Like what?
Naughty business.
On the bags and all that sort of stuff?
A bit of that stuff, Tom. Bit of that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
absolute rubbish.
Being a young
Absolute
person
rubbish.
in that toxic stuff, I just thought, this industry's fucked. I don't want anything to do with it. And 2 of the questions I asked my current director was, are there any bags? He said no. I said, is anyone having an affair? He said, not that I'm aware of. So I said, okay, I'll have a chat to you. And he said,
Mate,
very boring, good family business, and he was true to his word. It's been really good.
I've got to tell you, I told the guy this morning, I had a phone, couldn't do it on Zoom, so I had to do it on FaceTime, a half-hour session, and he said to me, I've been in real estate for 30 years, I just got to get my act together, it's not happening for me. He goes, it just doesn't make sense. He goes, I've been cracking big money, I need to actually just up it, you know, I've got all these other agents that are picking up business. He went on and on and on, and I go, what are you going on about? He goes, mate, how could I have written so much money and not have anything to show for it? And he goes, let's talk about the social media. He goes, that's probably the missing bit. I said, mate, the missing bit is that you've been divorced 3 times. You don't need a social media course. Do you understand? If money is your issue, there are other things you need to focus on, right? So, and I've got to tell you, and I said it to Josh, who's going to come on and speak in the second panel where we got pinnacle agents. So actually, for me, I want to let you know, the way I define agents is 3 columns. Emerging, growth means that they lasted. Because a lot of people that emerge at some point are no longer in real estate. You hear them, you see them, and they say, Tommy, I used to be in real estate, right? You see them at shopping centres, you see them at airports. So the emerging that get to growth survive, and then the next phase is they become a pinnacle agent. And a pinnacle agent, whether people like to admit it or not, I'll tell you straight, because this is all I do for a living. Pinnacle agents do not do cold prospecting, do not do telemarketing, do not do any of that stuff. They have other people in their team. When they say they write $3, $4, $5, $6 million, it's not them doing it, it is people in their team that are doing it. Yes, they might have a prospector there, but once you're a pinnacle agent, people prospect you versus you prospecting them. And this is where this team's heading. I want to speak, Imogen, how old are you?
21.
21 years of age. So I'm thinking about that because one of my daughters is turning 21 in about 3-4 weeks, right? So same age. You come into real estate. You've been in real estate how long?
So in total, I've been in real estate for about 3 years. I started straight out of school. I graduated school a year early because I was in that sort of cut-off period where you could be in school the year younger. So I graduated school. I jumped into what I thought was my in within the company that I work for. I always wanted to work for this company. And I managed to secure a position on the advocacy side of the transaction. So my mindset behind doing advocacy first was I thought if I can do most aspects of this business, yes, I may be young, but it would mean that I've got an upper hand on everybody else because I'm the only one within the company who knows all facets of our company that we were within. So I started off in advocacy. I did that for just under a year. I knew that it wasn't for me, but I knew that it would make me understand what a buyer wants in a transaction. So I then shifted over to doing all of the agent things, but not so much client facing. Did that for about another year, and then our CEO, Marty, said, okay, time for you to jump into sales. So I've been doing sales for a year now and loving it. I knew that this is always what I wanted to do, but I feel like I finally started to find my groove.
Well, I've got to tell you, at 21 years of age, you've got biology on your side. There is no reason in the world that within the next 3-4 years that you are one of the agents across Australia that are not participating in this market. They are dominating in this market. I'm sure of that. I mean, obviously, if something's going to go wrong, it won't be a real estate thing. And I've got to tell you, in every conversation, so I do 50 one-on-ones a week on Zoom, 30 minutes, I have a gap for 15, then I jump onto it. And I can tell you, there is so much information you get out of it, and I'll tell you straight. You don't go off track because you forget how to list and sell. You go off track because something happens outside of real estate that totally smashes you. It can be a really bad problem. Sometimes it's a small problem and you've got a mindset that's not working there, but it could be a health issue, it could be a relationship issue, it could be a money issue, and they're the only things that are going to get in the way. Alex,
Yep.
What are you going to write this year?
Probably 1.2.
Okay. So 1.2, how old are you?
31.
31
Turned
years of
yesterday.
age.
Oh, last week.
Okay. So I want
It was a big weekend.
to, mate, he came over, this time last year, he came over to do a real estate gym interview at my place in Byron. And all I remember is, Byron's sun's out, guns out, all that sort of place. Middle of summer, he comes in wearing a pink suit. And my little daughter, did you see her there that day? Christina, she goes, Daddy, come outside, have a look at this. There's something going on, there's a parade or something. I said, what's that? She goes, look at that lunatic over there, pink suit there. She goes, Daddy, he's coming inside the house.
I missed the memo. I thought it was Mardi Gras.
I said, we're doing an interview with that man. Okay. You know what I remember? I remember that day on that piece. He tell the people the post. He put an Instagram post and said, these are my goals for the next 12 months. What were they?
So I put up 5 goals.
Right, 5 goals.
Was to be director by 30.
Yeah.
Number 2 was to be covered in tattoos from head to toe. Number 3 was to have a professional MMA fight. Number 4 was to, a bit superficial, but have a Porsche. And number 5...
Don't be ashamed.
What's number 5? Oh, and to own 2 properties and live off Chapel Street.
Okay, and what's so good about Chapel Street? What's that?
It's That's where all the fun is in Melbourne.
Okay. So you've put you've posted that up as a public commitment. What was the psychology there?
So what I did was, in 2024, I would argue that social media is the biggest self-accountability you could ever do. So if you want to put yourself under the fire, put something in social media, tell the world what you want to achieve within 12 months, because if you either live by the gun or you die by the gun. If you don't achieve it, you know the rest of society, well, thousands of people on social media are going to be laughing at your failure. So it's the ultimate sort of fire up your bum to go, okay, I'm not going to give these bastards the satisfaction of watching me fail. I'm going to put it out there,
But
and I'll put pressure on myself to achieve them.
Alec, how many of the goals did you achieve?
All 5.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Show us your tats.
Okay. That's it.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Whole body?
Whole body.
Are you? Wow, brother, how many? What have you got there? How much have you spent on tats?
20,000.
Mate, you could have got those Chinese MG cars for 20 grand. Looking for a car for the daughter. That's what she's
I
getting.
never thought I'd get a round of applause for getting tattoos. So I can tell mum and dad.
So I'm curious, have you ever lost a listing because of tats?
All right, so my area is a very conservative area. So I knew that. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I worked with it. So every part of my tattoos, when I've got a tie on and I'm wearing shoes with socks, you can't actually see any of my tattoos. So even my wrist, it was stopped just before the
Right.
the collar. Not the collar, the end of the shirt line.
Okay, last question, and we'll get back to real estate. Was it something that you've fantasized, what's the...
I think in our generation, it's like a trendy thing to do. So I got my first arm sleeve at 19. And then I'm like, that looked good. Maybe I'll get the other arm. And then I'm like, well, now my chest looks bare. So I got my chest. And then I'm like, well, my back looks a bit bare now. And then I'm like, well, I can't have half my body tattooed and nothing down there.
Okay.
And before you know it, I'm covered.
I got it. Keep the face clean, but okay. I want to ask, Mark, on Tuesday, this is Tuesday Prospecting Blitz. I turn on the computer. We have in the real estate gym. So all the people I'm interviewing are from real estate gym, right? And I open it up. I have a look. You're there. I want to ask you, how do you get your names and numbers second time around? You've come into the market, right? You don't have a lot of people. Maybe they're starting to happen where they reach out to you off your just listed signs, off your just sold, off your drops. When you can, the number one way to get business, and we all should accept it, is you use listings to get listings. That's what gives you credibility, right? But very early in the piece, you don't have listings, right? So you need to reach out and you need to interrupt people. And that's why a lot of people in the early stages in real estate don't do well, because they struggle with the interrupt. They struggle with the outbound interrupt, because when we interrupt outbound, we get rejected 80-90% of the time. And people struggle and they personalize that. But I want to start off, where do you get your names and numbers to call, particularly in the early stages?
All right, so I do something now that I wish I'd done the first rendition of real estate. The golden rule, James Tossmans of the world always talk about doing 100 calls a week. So when I was young, I just used to make 100 calls a week. I'd get a buyer list and I'd just call anyone, make 100 calls, nothing would happen. I'd think, made 100 calls, it'll happen one day. But often I was ringing people that I really shouldn't have been ringing. Like I was ringing a buyer for a 2-bedroom apartment, waste of time. So something big sort of shifted last year. I did a session with you and Panos and really worked out numbers, which was the first time that I worked out what I actually had to do from an activity point of view to generate the appraisals, and from those appraisals to generate the GCI. So often I used to ask for an appraisal and people would say, no, I know what my home's worth. No, not interested. So last year what I started doing was going through PDOL, finding out the owner of the home. So I'd go through street by street, find out who owned the home, look in our database, because we're fairly large in our area. We would have met them even if it was just an open. And I just got this one piece of dialogue which just changed everything for me. And rather than cold calling someone and asking if they wanted an appraisal, I just say, hey Tom, it's Mark from Miles Real Estate. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm doing an appraisal in your street later this week. Do you want to just pop through your place quickly and see your place while I'm in the area? So I wouldn't mention the word appraisal, and people just started to say, yeah.
So
Sure.
I want you to repeat again, because it appears that one word difference affects
Yes.
the appointments. Because
'Cause-
we all, team, let's be very clear. Real estate is arithmetic. The guy or girl who goes into the most appraisals wins at the end of the day. Whether it's immediate or price updates, we know that those who are in the living room are winning. Say that again, word for word.
So I used to say, hey, Tom, it's Mark Britt from Miles Real Estate. I'm doing an appraisal in your street. Would you like a market appraisal on your home? No, not interested.
Yep.
Oh, shit. That didn't work. And just do that religiously. So I was doing sort of 8 to 10 appraisals a month. I just started calling up and saying, hey, Tom, it's Mark Britt from Miles Real Estate. Sorry to disturb you. I'm doing a market appraisal on your street on Friday. Would you like me to pop through your place quickly while I'm in the area? Just pop through. Not an appraisal, just pop through. And people just started saying, yeah, you can pop through.
Yeah, I can see why that would work, because
Disarming.
what you're sort of saying is you're not going to be obligated, because the reality is I'm just going to be there anyway and it's no big deal and I'm popping in, and popping in means nothing, right? That's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, went to
okay.
23 appraisals a month.
How many calls you do?
I used to do 100 calls to just fucking anyone, and it didn't really generate anything. I consistently do 100 plus. So probably not more than 150 a week, but between 100 and 150 to people that actually, and I really try and dig deep. I'm not just calling.
Where'd you get the numbers from?
So I'll look up the property owner in PDOL, search their name in our
Where? On
database.
ID for me or on RP?
We don't have ID for me.
Right.
So it's literally just property data online. Search up the last time the property transacted,
Right.
look up the person that is on the title, and then check them in our database. And usually they've been through an open for inspection 2 years ago. So it's just really assumptive, just saying, hey, like I know that they own the home, but ID for me would just save that problem. So it makes it a lot easier for young agents now. You can just get the
Imogen,
phone.
where do you get your name? Where do you call people from?
I've utilised ID for me a lot this year. I only really trialled it in that second sort of half of the year. A couple of the guys in the office had it, and they said, why don't you give it a shot? Because we tried it for a couple of numbers, but it wasn't marrying up at all, and it was, you would find some people on the receiving end aren't very receptive to it. But I've found that I've really utilised going across RP data is what we use a lot. Sometimes property data, but RP data for us. And then we'll backdate it with ID for me to cross-check and get their details from that. But something that I really leaned on was I, at the start, obviously had no sales for me to talk about that I've got, or any listings that I currently had. When you first start, you sort of sit down at the desk and you go, okay, what do I do now? And how am I meant to walk into the sales meeting and have some listings? So for me, I just leveraged off every single thing that anyone else in the office was doing, because I was going to those opens anyways. I knew what the place was. If I never called and spoke about a property if I didn't know the place, because I never wanted that to be a potential vendor and then them go, oh yeah, so what land size was that, or how big was that one, and then you have no idea and you're absolutely thrown and you just make a fool of yourself. So I very much would be prepared for it, but I just used everyone else's success and really leaned on that, spoke about that a lot, and that's how I got my few first listings. That was all how I started. I just spoke about other people's successes, spoke about how the sale went, would mention that we had, X amount of groups through and whatnot, and that really worked. I got into doors. I'm very similar with what you've said, with quite a gentle approach. I don't ever want to come across as a super salesy person. It's not my style. I think especially there'd be a lot of females in here who probably would resonate with that a lot. You don't want to use words like conduct and all of that. It's just too heavy for what I want to sort of come across as. And that's really worked for me. I've really used that to my advantage, and I use my conversations to still get the point across. I'm not wasting my time on a call. There's a reason why I'm calling someone, and there's information that I want to get. But by being a little more conversational based and sometimes a little more gentle and whatnot, it's getting me through the door and building my database.
Team, while it's fresh in my mind, if you want to build your database in the next 1 week by 500, this is all you've got to do. Go to the office, ask the boss, who are the 6, 7 people that worked here the last 5, 7 years that aren't here? They get you their names? Say, great. Can I get their open home lists? You ring up their open home lists and you just say this: hi, my name is Tom Panos from XY Real Estate. I've been appointed to look after you. You came through our property some time ago. Which one did you buy? They give you the address. Bang. Name, mobile, email, address into your database. They move from a buyer to being a seller. you can have 500 people into your CRM system if you do that. This is called orphan data. The reason we call it orphan data is that they don't have an agent. They used to have an agent, like they didn't have a parent. I know, I get it. You get the drift. Where'd you get your names and numbers when you started, Alex?
Exactly what you just said. So it's old buy sheets.
Old buy sheets?
Yeah, old buy sheets, old clients. Now though, I would say anyone entering real estate 2024 is extremely lucky. ID for me is the best thing to ever happen in real estate. If I was starting today, I'd just call every single street which has a property listed, call them up, use ID for me, just say, look, one of your neighbours is just coming to market, would you like to know what the result is? Bang, you add 20 to 50 a day.
Do you work long hours?
60 hours a week.
What time you start, what time you finish?
Start at 8, probably finish at 7, 6 days.
Every day?
Yep. No, well, 6 days.
Okay, so Saturday you work till late?
Oh, no. So good question, sorry. Saturday, as soon as the last open finishes, I'll go home, but my PAs will go back to the office and do the callbacks.
How many people come to an open? You're open, you and how many, two of you?
Me and one PA.
Okay. And can I ask, what has been the most challenging thing this year?
It's clearly getting vendors into line because there's a lot of people who are looking at sales from 6 months ago, 9 months ago. And the fact is the market's just not where it was 9 months ago. But people are going, hang on, my next door neighbour sold for 1.5. What do you mean I can't get 1.3? It's only been 6 months. So it makes you look shit as an agent, but really it's about educating. That's probably the biggest challenge of 2024.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you, it's becoming very, very clear. There are two types of vendor managers in Australia. There are those that understand how to do it, and there are those that are sledgehammers that have got no idea. They are commission-breath people that go into an owner, they tell the owner, your house is worth $1 million. They come back 1 week later and they say the feedback is around 800. I'm really sorry, they think your bedrooms are too small. That vendor is looking at you and thinking, you came in here and the bedrooms were the same size when you saw it, yet you gave us that figure. You also are telling us now that the kitchen needs work, but the kitchen has not deteriorated in 2 weeks, right? And that is the commission breath sledgehammer vendor. That's bullshit. That's out of the way now. The smart vendors understand they need a strategic agent. And you know what a strategic agent does? They go in and they say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I'm letting you know, based on the last 3 months, our KPIs are saying that your property should have 13 people come to the open this Saturday, and we should have X amount of inquiries on Ignite. If this number isn't achieved, we have an issue. I'm going to put in a time right now to go over the results next week. I'll see you on Tuesday. Stoics say it, philosophers say it, it is the unexpected that lands heaviest in life. So what do? We don't make things unexpected. We prepare people for them. That's what good real estate agents do. And I said to Mark and Lisa, Mark Novak, and Lisa did a great talk today, but she's on a panel tomorrow. I said to them that realistic, he goes, oh, what do you think the market's like? He was just doing some video for social. I actually think there's no such thing as a bad market. The market is either good for the vendor or it's good for the buyer. But for a real estate agent, haven't you worked that out? We make more money when there's more volume. When there's more volume, it means that it's not a booming market. That's what makes it a volume market, that there's more stock out there. Yes, the days on market are longer. Yes, it's a haggle and a struggle and we've got to narrow the gap, but you'll make more sales. You've seen it. Some of the Melbourne agents have had their best months in this marketplace. Same with Sydney. Why? We're a volume-based business. We would rather have 10 properties with one buyer that they all sell, even if they take twice as long, than having 3 properties with 50 buyers each. You don't make that much more money for property selling 100 grand more. We are a volume-based business. And I've got good news. If you're a good agent, it doesn't matter what the market is doing for the buyers or the sellers. Because if you can nail 4 key things in real estate, buyer management, vendor management, prospecting, and a listing presentation, you are a black belt. You're bulletproof. Life is great forever if you can do those things. And I want to ask, Imogen, you go in a listing presentations, right? And you're dealing in a marketplace. I mean, you do look young. You look, when I say you look young, you actually do look older than my daughter. You are older than my daughter, but you, like my daughter, if Madeline went to a listing presentation, she looks young, like maybe she got dressed up, probably she would, but they would just laugh at her walking in. they would laugh at her. You are young, but you can get away with it. But you're up against agents that have been working in the market for 20 years, 10 years. Some of them are dominant attraction agents. Some of them are crushing it. Some of them, they look at their realestate.com profile. They got, 80, 90 sales. You're going in there. Can I ask you, how do you cope going against dominant long-term agents?
I think it's about finding your angle, and I think towards the second half of the year I really found what my angle was, and it was that in a lot of cases I resonate, like the core area where we are, Albert Park and whatnot, the surrounding suburbs, there is also quite a lot of apartments, so I find that there was a couple of agents who perhaps may have been going in there that are quite a lot more dominant. They've got a lot more experience under their belt, but I think it was about, for me, finding my angle. And for me, it was that I'm a lot more obviously younger, but I resonate a lot more with the buyers perhaps, or the demographic that was coming through. I also think it was important to be able to lean on your colleagues too. So regardless of perhaps my age, we tend to represent properties as two. So yes, I may be young and whatnot, which I have to admit, I've never had that rejection, which I'm glad, but I've never actually sat in a living room and anyone tell me that I'm young or they haven't gone with me because I'm young. I feel like it's a bit of a credit to myself, because I thought, first of all, oh my goodness, I'm going to get this all the time. And I actually never got it, which I'm glad about. I think it comes back to, though, the way you carry yourself, the conviction that you speak with. And as much as I do have quite a gentle approach, when you have results to back yourself up, which I'm a firm believer on that, walking into a living room, showing case studies and using them to leverage that, okay, yes, this guy may be 30 years older than me, but this is the result he got. And then 2 streets ago, the person who's newer into the industry got this. Who do you want to go with? The someone who's been in there 30 years longer, or the someone who got you more money?
In summary, it's 2 letters. When you're there, you use the letters we, not I. We. What else do you do? When you're posting, you collab. Your office with you collaborate. When you collaborate, both audiences see it. So what's happening is you're brainwashing all this audience that thinks to themselves, oh, she's only young, she's not doing much. But when you do a collaboration, everyone is seeing it. So I've got to tell you, more officers need, when they're posting, to collab with that agent, right? And the agent should say they collaborate, right? Because you're getting like leverage. While we're talking about that, I have to tell you, every time you sell a house, the minute it becomes unconditional, go on a live on Insta with the owner. Ask them, what do you think? What was the experience like? What advice would you give to anyone other thinking of selling? Ask 3 or 4 questions. Guess what? When they go on, all their friends and family get notified that they're on. They're just telling all their friends and family, use him as a real estate agent. I'm happy. It is something that is underused. And I got to tell you, what you should be doing is, I'm sure that there are some vendors that don't want to do it, but there are certain vendors that are, more extroverts. They're happy to do it. So I want to ask Mark, what are the main ways you use to get appraisals?
Yeah, it's mainly calls.
Phone calls?
Yeah, so it would be calls first, and then letterbox drops would be my second tier. So I've got my associate that works alongside me now. He does drops for me, and I also do them as well. So I'll just try and find micro gaps, like after an open or an appraisal, I'll just chuck 20 in letterboxes. So that would be my second tier. And then Ignite, so realestate.com, because I'm starting to rank now in some of the suburbs that I sell in the top 2 or 3. I'm starting to get some appraisals through Ignite. So it's really...
What are your hours like? Are you a long hour person?
Yeah, so I'd be 8 to 8:30, Monday to Friday, Saturdays 9 till 4, something like that. So I take an RDO every second Friday. So, yeah.
Can I ask, Imogen, do you work long?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar with what you're saying too. I think I drive a bit of a distance to and from the office, so I also strategically play my day where I'll try and get out of the office if I can by 6, but in saying that, we're big on speed winning in anything, and especially when you're younger, and yes, you may be up against some of the bigger fish and whatnot. I really want to make sure I nail every aspect that I can to give myself the best shot. So if I've been into a listing presentation and I've got a proposal that I want to get out right away, I'll stay back for it. But if there's things that I can do perhaps on the road, I try and leave my follow-up to be on the road. But I'm pretty similar with what you said.
Okay. Top 3. I want to ask you now tips. So you got an audience here looking around. There's a combination. There is a few Pinnacle agents there, mainly emerging and growth agents. I want to ask top 3 tips each person. We'll do one each first. Top 3 tips for the audience out here.
All right, if you're young and you're going into appraisals, really demonstrate process. So process and just energy. So just excited and try and make a really good first impression. Try and connect with the person instantly when in an appraisal, and then demonstrate process. When you're up against an experienced agent, often they'll just go in with a CMA report, sit back, think I got this.
So I've got to...
if you go through and really step them through the process.
I can't get over how many of our real estate gym members who have been in real estate for less than 1 year go to listing presentations and beat an agent that's been in the market there for 20 years. I can't get over it, right? I would have thought to myself they'd be intimidated, but I've got to tell you, this is pretty much their listing presentation. I'm going to summarise it in 1 minute, what they actually do in an hour and a half. The first thing is they take into account, what can I do? I can't beat them at their game, so I'll beat them as what Imogen says. I'll do something that they don't have. What is it that an attraction agent doesn't have? Time. They're a lot more busier, right? Not only that, they're normally older, so they've got a family, so they're balancing their family and that. So what you got to do is you got to look at the weakness, and this is all they do. Here's the narrative. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, whilst I've only been in real estate a relatively short period of time, I want to let you know that when you list with me, you list with we. In addition to that, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got to let you know, I wake up each and every day trying to build a real estate career, so when someone gets me to represent them, I see that as a privilege. I've got to let you know, I'm listing a lot of properties that other agents that have been here for 20 years have had, and the owners give it to me because they said their experience was that they felt that that agent was entitled to the business. For me, I've got to prove myself each and every day. Not only that, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, you know what? The minute you appoint me, you get me. You're not getting a junior that's going to be sitting at your open home. I'll be here myself. I'm accountable. I'll be talking to you. I'll be speaking to every buyer. I'm responsible, whereas there are other agents in this area that will list the property and you won't have much to do with them. After that, they'll be giving it to a junior. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got to let you know, I've got to get top dollar for your property, and there is no other agent that needs it more than me, because I've got to prove myself. When can I get to work? It's that new business energy that you've got to go in there. You've got to offer that, because that Pinnacle agent can't offer that. They're normally just running on the trot. They've probably got the shits with their staff. They're probably arguing with their kids, right? They're trying to balance everything out. You've got time up your sleeve. I want to ask you, Alec, when you go to listing actually, Imogen, your biggest tip.
My biggest tip would probably be leverage every single success as much as you can, especially in those early years. Like for me,
what would that look like? What would leveraging every success?
When I sell a property, I'll do a video, like a raw video. Can be quite literally off our phone, or we have a marketing team who will come out and shoot. We're very much into our socials and our digital marketing strategies within our company. So we'll record like an off-cuff video just speaking about the sale, and it is quite real. I often feel like you see videos on Instagram of everyone telling you that it sold 200,000 over reserve and you've got 8 million buyers left over, and the videos that we put up are a lot more realistic, or the aim that I try to put out on my social media is a lot more realistic to do with the sale. And just chatting, one of the recent ones that I had was completely speaking about having a reboot for a phase 2. So that got so much interest. I had a couple of people message me off the back of it just from saying, oh, I've had a situation where my property didn't sell at auction and the agent has pretty much ghosted me from then. And you hear it so many times that if the property doesn't sell come auction day, if it's a bigger agent, they're off with their new campaigns. Their energy's not there anymore. It didn't sell. Their return on investment is lower. So they're gone. But I think for me, it's very much social based. I'll call people off the back of a sale. So I'll call the whole entire street, any surrounding streets, and that's where I'll utilize that ID for me. I'll letterbox shop. I really believe that letterbox shopping, it may not work for some people those first couple times, but you'll just have those moments where you'll get a phone call. I had a property a couple of weeks ago and I got a phone call from someone saying, oh, I got your letterbox shop 3 months ago. I've got it on my fridge. Can you come past? And you thought that letterbox shop, you got nothing of it. Perhaps it was a waste of your time. You have those thoughts, and then you get a phone call like that and you go to be able to list it on the spot, that was a really special moment. So I think really leveraging every success, whether it's social media, calls, letterbox drop, not forgetting the basics, which is something that I think some of the newer agents really can do. I see even in some of newer agents that I've spoken to, they can sometimes feel as though you've got to completely reinvent the wheel, and the old school stuff really still does work. So letterbox dropping, calling, and then I implement it and mix it with social. So putting up sold boards, I'll stand in front of the sold board with the purchaser or the vendor or whatnot, get a photo, then do the video, and then when I'm at an open, do say a video of a walkthrough.
Alex, best tips?
Top 3, know your why. So once you know your why, you know what you're aiming towards, you know what your drive is, you know what your motivation is. Number 2, social media for new agents. Social media is the icing. This is probably going against what you just said, sorry. But social media should be the icing on top of the cake, shouldn't be the foundation. So the magic is in the work that you're probably avoiding, the cold calls, the door knocking, the hard stuff no one wants to do. And number 3, it would be energy beats experience.
Beautiful. I like that. Have you got any other tips? We took one. I know he gave us 3. Have you got any others?
Yeah. I just assumed that doubling my results would mean my life was paradise, but with bigger success comes more pressure. So really I spent a lot of time on my health and my mental health. I had a time this year when I started getting panic attacks doing auctions because I doubled my GCI and the number of listings that I was carrying and that sort of thing. But with that came a lot more pressure. So I started finding it hard to breathe doing auctions, and I got to August this year and I thought, I don't know if I want to do auctions anymore. But I had a chat to myself and I said, man, what do you got to do to keep doing them? Because you're good at them, and it'd be a real shame after 10 years to stop. So I realised I was, in some ways, the way I was doing auctions and even the way I was approaching real estate was reflective of my old boss from my first real estate career and not the person that I am now. So I've really tried to just chill out, smile, and be authentic to who I am. And that anxiety has just dissipated and I'm enjoying it a lot more. So be true to who you are.
Yeah. I think it turns out that most vendors don't want an agent. They want a human being that's occupation is a real estate agent. That's what it turns out. So it turns out that the best real estate agents act like human beings, not like real estate agents. That's what it turns out. It turns out that the minute you take your real estate mask off, they take their vendor mask off and you have a decent conversation with them. And I've got to tell you, at some point, you're going to learn that you've got to feel comfortable. Just do it your way, right? Hear what everything's going on, pick up pieces, but stay you, right? Stay you. I want to ask, Imogen, any other tips?
What you said was exactly what we spoke about outside. Very much staying true to yourself. I think that everyone can see that there's a lot of agents out there who really can get inspired by other people. There's a lot of amazing agents, especially within our company too, that I really feel inspired by, but I never ever want to be like. I don't want to be like them. I don't try to be like them. I can take inspiration from them, but I think there's only so long that someone can fake trying to be like somebody else. And then it gets to a stage where you think, okay, they've done that content, so I better do that content. And it just doesn't work. It only goes on for so long. So for myself, I really do agree that you need to find what works for you and find what your style is and figure out, okay, if I've done that a few times and that's managed to work and I'm getting a good response from that, then maybe I'll continue to do a little more of that and a little less of this. So I think really just finding what works for you and really not trying to replicate someone else. You can take inspiration, but really be true to yourself.
What do you want to write next year?
1.5 and then 2 the year after.
What do you want to write next year, Imogen? How many sales do you want to do next year, Imogen?
I did just under 40 this year. It was 40 a couple of days ago, and it's come down from that graph, but I'm aiming for 50 next year.
50? Okay. What do you want to do next year? I reckon 758.
All right, so I'm getting married to my beautiful fiancée. And I've
Where
just
is
put
she?
on a PA
Where is she?
just here.
Oh,
So,
stand up!
So
You know, a lot of people don't talk about it, but I've got to tell you, the real estate lottery is married to the marriage lottery. Like, if you have a relationship that doesn't work, you're going to be upset at work. If you've got a relationship that you're getting a phone call at 5:30 and you're at a listing presentation and your phone's vibrating and the owner's saying to you, but will you drop your fee? And then you've got 2 things that you're focused on, right? It's not easy. The marriage lottery does affect your life, right? So you're getting married.
yeah, so this venue that I'm in had a PA start, which has in a way taken a lot of time to get him going. So if I can just get a little bit ahead of last year, so if I can hit about 600 this venue, I'll be happy. But then coming back after the honeymoon, hopefully clear run for a year, so I want to push up to that sort of 750, 800 and hopefully grow to that third team member.
All
So
right.
that's a goal for next fin year.
I'm watching carefully behind the real estate gym. My view is that you should be doing $2 million, if not in 25 and 26. Imogen, you should be doing 100 sales in 26, not 25, and you should be doing 100% $1 million in 26, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, 3 agents that are having a serious crack. Very, very proud of them. Panos and Maria, thank you for allowing them to have a platform here on this wonderful event. Big round of applause to our 3 emerging agents. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Outstanding. Outstanding, outstanding. Team, while you're there, we're getting the other people set up. What I'm going to do is very quickly, because I know that a lot of people, from my own experience, I do a couple of hundred of these a year. I know what people say, oh, I want to jot that down. Let me give you some of the dialogue and language I think at the moment that's useful for the next 2-3 weeks while we're working. The first one is this. I've got to tell you, this is a really good piece of dialogue that you should be doing to people in your pipeline that are most likely coming onto the market, early next year. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know there are 2 types of vendor around the market at the moment. There are those that are going to wait and list their property and launch it after Australia Day, like the rest of Australia does, and be selling in competition and probably selling lower, because when there's a lot of properties on the market, buyers walk away and buy others at lower prices. The other type of vendor is the one that actually lists their property now. We launch it softly over the holidays. There's nothing on real estate and domain on there. You stand out, you get top dollar on your home, and then you go out into the market as a buyer in February and March and buy a bargain because there's a lot of properties on the market. In addition to that, I've got to tell you, I am just finding it. The Australian media is the best vendor manager. They're just the best. I rock up at every auction now. I just say the first thing I say, guys, what's your understanding of the market to the vendors? They go, yeah, it's not that good, is it? I said, yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you reckon is going to happen next year? I'll probably go down. I said, yeah, we're on the same page. We better get this thing sold. They just do it all. It's all easy, right? But you've got to ask the right questions. See the question I said? What's your understanding of the market? Right? What do you think is going to happen next year? And you know, when you're asking, I don't ask them, what's your dream price? I never say that. I say, listen, you know how the market is. Based on how the market is, what's your target number today? Oh, 1 million? I say, okay. I'm going to treat it like it's my own home. Quickly. What won't you take today? Oh, nothing under 900. No problems. Bang. I just know I've got to get 910 and we've got a deal, right? Questions. Ask great questions, everyone. Okay, Arthur, over to you.
Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it, guys. Give it up again for him, the emerging panel. Not taking anything away from the young guns last year, but that was sensational this afternoon. Tom, your real estate gym, mate, it elevating the young stars that are coming through.